I always imagined my bridal shower would be peaceful, classy, and drama-free. Please stay with me as I tell you my story. Don't forget to like, share with your family and friends, and subscribe to our channel. Now back to my story. My bridesmaids and I had been planning it for months. Rustic blush theme, she said yes, mimosa bar, fairy lights, and a photo wall that made Pinterest jealous. I wore a soft pink dress with pearl heels, something elegant but still me. Everything was perfect, until she showed up. Amber, my fiancé's cousin, 35, divorced, and clinging to high school popularity like it was a lifeline. She and my mother-in-law were thick as thieves, and although she didn't say it out loud, I knew she wasn't thrilled about me joining the family. I hadn't given her much thought lately, until that moment. She walked in 20 minutes late, and the entire room turned. She wore a form-fitting white cocktail dress with lace detail and crystal straps. Not off-white, not cream, white. I blinked, thinking maybe it was a mistake. But the smirk she gave me said otherwise. My maid of honor, Jamie, leaned over. Didn't you say no white? Yup, I whispered. It was in the invite. Dress code, blush beige or anything pastel, just not white. Amber made her rounds, air-kissing people. Talking loud, laughing louder. She strutted straight to the photo wall and posed. Alone, in front of the future Mrs. banner like she was the guest of honor. Maybe it's just what she had on hand. One of my bridesmaids offered gently. No, Amber had plenty of options. She had access to Nordstrom, Revolve, and a walk-in closet bigger than my bedroom. It wasn't a coincidence. Later that evening, when I tried to pull her aside politely, she said, "Oh, did I break a rule? I figured white was classy, didn't think you'd mind." Then she looked me dead in the eye and added, "You're not one of those insecure brides, are you?" That was the moment I knew. Amber wasn't just a cousin. She was a problem, and something told me this little stunt was just the appetizer. The morning of my wedding, I felt like I was floating. The venue, an airy lakeside barn, was lit with warm fairy lights. My dress, a white satin A-line with a subtle pearl veil, hung on a brass hook, while my bridesmaids buzzed around with makeup brushes and Starbucks orders. Everything felt like it was finally falling into place. I was in the bridal suite, halfway through getting my hair curled, when Jamie burst in holding her phone. "You need to see this," she said, already dialing FaceTime. My heart dropped. "What's wrong?" She flipped the camera toward the ceremony space. "Just look." The screen showed the aisle. The chairs were filling, the music was starting. And right in the middle, standing confidently at the end of the aisle, Amber, wearing a white sequin gown, with a train. Not off-white, not ivory, not a blush beige hybrid that could be excused. No, full blinding bridal white. It shimmered under the fairy lights like it was her big day. I couldn't breathe. She said she was wearing champagne. Jamie whispered. I even double-checked the night before. Guests were whispering. A few glanced at her, then toward the altar. One elderly aunt leaned toward another and said, "Wait, isn't she the bride?" I felt hot, my vision narrowed. "Does she think this is a joke?" I managed to ask. Jamie sighed. "I think she wants attention, or confusion, or both." I clenched my jaw and whispered, "She's trying to ruin this." My bridesmaids gathered around me. "You've got this," one said. "She's not the bride, you are." I adjusted my veil and stood tall. But when I made my entrance, I felt eyes on both of us. The photographer even glanced between us with hesitation before snapping my photos. And then came the dagger. Amber stood on the ceremony stage while I was still outside. She had posed for pictures at the altar, like she was waiting to walk down the aisle. And when I finally did walk in, she didn't smile. She didn't clap, she didn't even look my way. Amber didn't just show up. She claimed space. And I knew, deep down, she hadn't come to celebrate. She'd come to compete. The reception was supposed to be the fun part. Dancing, cake, a DJ spinning throwbacks while everyone let loose. I tried to focus on the joy, on my husband's hand in mine, on the laughter around us. But Amber's shadow clung to every moment. She barely spoke to us, didn't offer congratulations, didn't even bring a card. Not that I cared about gifts, it was about respect. Basic human decency. Instead, she floated around like she was hosting the party, laughing loudest at jokes she wasn't part of, dancing in the center of the floor, pulling people into selfies, half of them with my name lit up in neon behind her. I told myself to breathe, to let it go, until I heard shouting near the back patio. Then I saw my mother-in-law arguing with my uncle, who helped pay for the wedding cake and practically raised me like his own. I rushed over, still in my heels, still in my dress. "What's going on?" Amber was standing there, tears in her eyes. "He threatened me," she sniffled. He said if I didn't back off, he'd break my legs. Everyone froze. What? I turned to my uncle, who looked stunned. That's not what he said. My uncle stepped forward, clearly shaken. I told her you're like a sister now. Have her back, that's it, that's all I said. But the damage was done. My mill had already raised her voice. My father-in-law was trying to calm her down. A few relatives started whispering. Right there, on my wedding night, Amber spun a lie so outrageous, it turned a tender moment into a family feud. And worst of all, she played the victim beautifully, crying just enough, looking confused, hurt, wrapping her shawl tightly like she was scared for her life. I was ready to scream, to grab the mic from the DJ and call her out in front of everyone. But my husband grabbed my hand and whispered, "Don't, that's what she wants." So I stood there, fuming, humiliated, while Amber smiled softly through her fake tears. She didn't ruin my wedding with a scene. She did it with a whisper. A week after the wedding, I told myself I was done with Amber. Done with her stunts, her lies, her twisted games. But then we heard she'd had outpatient surgery. Something minor, and despite everything, my husband said, we should probably stop by. I hesitated. After what she pulled at our wedding, he shrugged, maybe it'll help smooth things over. Be the bigger person, right? I hated those words, be the bigger person. It always sounded like code for, let her keep disrespecting you while you smile through it. Still, I agreed. I picked out a cozy robe, some chocolates, and a get well card that said thinking of you in muted cursive. I didn't sign it with love, just my name. When we arrived at her place, her mom opened the door and waved us in. She's on the couch, she whispered, like she was protecting royalty. Amber was sprawled out under a throw blanket, silk eye mask on, one AirPod in. Hi Amber, I said, soft but sincere. We brought you a few things. She didn't move. My husband nudged her. Hey, we just wanted to check on you. Amber slowly lifted her eye mask, scanned me from head to toe, said absolutely nothing, and pulled it back down. Not a nod, not a thank you, not even a fake smile. Her mother chuckled awkwardly. She's probably just groggy from meds. But I knew better. I was raised with manners, even half-conscious. You say thank you when someone shows up at your door with a gift. That night, I made a quiet decision. I would never greet her first again. Not a hi, not a congrats. Not even a head nod. As far as I was concerned, the ice was permanent. Then, as if to confirm my instincts, I saw her Facebook post later that night, shared only to her close friends. Some people are only kind when there's an audience. Sugar-coated snakes. It didn't mention me by name. It didn't have to. Amber wasn't just being petty. She was at war. And I just realized, I'd spent too long pretending we were playing the same game. It was a funeral, a time for silence, for stillness, for grief. But even in death, Amber found a way to make it about herself. My husband's grandmother passed away quietly in her sleep. She was a kind woman, the kind who slipped you $20 in your birthday card and always remembered your favorite pie. The whole family gathered for the service, somber, respectful, dressed in black. Even Amber. She showed up late, of course, in an oversized designer coat and oversized sunglasses like she was mourning a celebrity and not her own grandmother. But I didn't say a word. I just stayed near my husband, holding his hand, letting him lead the way through the long day of goodbyes. After the burial, his 87-year-old great-aunt was struggling with the steps outside the funeral home. My husband gently offered, I'll drive you home. Aunt Lorraine, no problem at all. That's when I saw it happen. Amber's mouth tightened, her brow pinched, and before I could brace myself, she snapped. Oh, so now you're the savior of the family. She spat, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. Doing it for show, huh? Over a girl who's barely been here 5 minutes. I froze. My husband blinked. Excuse me. You heard me, she shouted. She's turned you into her little chauffeur. Your grandma just died, and you're worried about looking like a good guy. Please. Then she looked right at me and snarled. And you, crackhead Barbie, you've had your claws in him since day one. I don't even remember standing up. All I remember is my fists clenched, blood roaring in my ears, and me pacing toward her like something inside me had finally snapped. It took 3 people to hold me back. I didn't care about the setting, about who was watching. I was done. I called my husband, come home, now or I swear I'll drag her out myself. He got there in under 5 minutes. By then, Amber was already storming out, screaming at her mom to follow her. Her final words echoed in the hallway. Over this girl, you've all lost your minds. But when she left, no one followed. Just when I thought Amber couldn't stoop any lower, she decided to go digital. It started on a random Tuesday night. I was curled up on the couch, trying to decompress after work, when my phone lit up, family group chat. First, I saw my name. Then I saw the screenshots. Texts supposedly from me, calling my mother-in-law cheap, saying I only married into the family for a green card. I was born in Ohio. And telling someone I planned to cut off the family after the wedding. My hands went numb. The messages were worded exactly how I don't talk. I use voice notes almost exclusively. I don't abbreviate. I don't type lols or FYI mid-sentence. It was like watching a parody of myself. Then came the comments. My mill, wow, so this is how she really feels. An aunt, disgusting, so ungrateful. I felt sick, betrayed, humiliated. I called Jamie, you saw it right. Yup, she said, and they're fake. You're sure? Babe, she said gently, you leave voice memos. You never text paragraphs. Plus, B just messaged me, she has something. B was Amber's cousin, the quiet one. The one who watched everything but rarely got involved. She sent me a screen recording. This is from my phone, she wrote. Look at the timestamps. I was texting Amber during the exact time she claims you sent all that. The receipts were clear. Amber had edited screenshots. The real chat showed nothing but emojis and harmless comments. Then B sent the kicker. A voice memo Amber left her weeks earlier. Her voice was cold, matter of fact. If they won't kick her out, I'll make sure the family sees her true colors, whether they're real or not. I stared at my screen, shaking. Amber wasn't just toxic. She was calculating. She was willing to forge evidence, lie to our elders, and destroy reputations just to look like the victim. And the saddest part, they believed her, at least at first. But not anymore. Now I had the truth. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I had proof. It was supposed to be a chill Sunday cookout. My husband and I had just gotten our finances back in order. The wedding was behind us, and we were finally able to repay his mom for the chunk of money she had loaned us for the reception deposit. I thought bringing the check in person, along with a bouquet of sunflowers and a homemade pie, might start to thaw things with her. Amber was there, of course, reclining on the patio chair like she paid the mortgage, sipping iced tea with her feet propped up, chatting it up with the elders like nothing ever happened. We sat down to eat when my husband quietly slid the envelope across the table. Here's the check, Mom, he said. That's when it all turned sideways. His mom picked it up and laughed, not warmly. You really think 2,000 covers everything we've done for you? And look at you two, living in that fancy apartment downtown like you're rich. I felt the heat creep up my neck. She kept going, you're always eating out. Always posting brunch photos like you don't have bills. And now you think handing me this check makes it all square. I opened my mouth to speak, but then I noticed Amber watching. No, enjoying. She was massaging my father-in-law's shoulders, listening like it was a podcast made just for her. I forced a smile and said, can we not discuss our finances here? Please, especially in front of certain people. Amber let out a laugh and muttered just loud enough. What am I supposed to do with $2,000? Buy her a clue. That was it. I stood up. Amber, why are you even talking about our money? Are you obsessed with us? She blinked. Excuse me, I'm older than you, show some respect. I snapped, respect is earned. And last I checked, you crashed my wedding, insulted my family, faked screenshots, and now you're acting like you're some kind of expert on marriage and money. Gasps. My husband stood, trying to gently pull me back, but I wasn't done. You're a bitter, washed-up mean girl who can't stand the fact that I have everything you pretended to have, and lost. Amber's smirk disappeared. For once, she had nothing to say. After the cookout disaster, my mother-in-law tried to play peacemaker. She called and said she wanted to clear the air, and asked if we could come over to help her clean out the attic. Something about starting fresh. Part of me wanted to say no, but I agreed. Maybe a shared task would soften things. We climbed into the attic mid-morning. Dust motes dancing in the sunlight, through the small square window. Boxes were stacked to the ceiling, old holiday decor, faded yearbooks, baby clothes no one could bear to part with. My husband was sorting through a bin of Christmas ornaments when I found it. A leather-bound photo album, cracked at the edges. Tucked inside were black and white photos, Polaroids, some embarrassing school portraits, and then near the back, a letter. Folded, yellowed, sealed in a Ziploc bag. It was from Amber's mother. Dated 3 weeks before my wedding. I'm asking you again, don't let Amber ruin another wedding. You know how she gets when she feels replaced. She's never recovered from what happened with Dylan. Don't feed the obsession. My breath caught. I flipped a few more pages, and there it was. A picture of Amber and my husband. Not just standing side by side, but dressed up. matching her in a white dress, him in a suit, his arm around her shoulder. On the back, engagement dinner 2016. I felt like someone had kicked me in the chest. I rushed downstairs, letter in one hand, photo in the other. You didn't think this was worth mentioning? I asked my mother-in-law, holding up the evidence. She looked up from the kitchen sink. Startled, it was years ago. Barely lasted 2 months, it didn't mean anything. Then why hide it? She opened her mouth but said nothing. Suddenly, everything made sense. Amber wasn't just being a petty cousin. She was a woman scorned. A woman who had once stood where I now stood, and lost it all. I wasn't just the bride. I was the replacement. And she had been trying to erase me ever since. A week after the attic bombshell, we were invited to a family sit-down. That's what they called it, neutral and non-threatening. But I knew better, it was damage control. We showed up to my in-laws' living room on a rainy Saturday. Amber was already there, seated like she lived there. Legs crossed, sipping lemon water from a wine glass like she was the queen of suburban drama. Her mom was next to her. My mother-in-law paced by the fireplace. My husband and I sat on the couch, back stiff, jaws tight. My father-in-law cleared his throat. There's been a lot of tension. A lot of conflict, and this can't go on. Amber smirked. She knew what was coming. Hell, I think she planned it. My mother-in-law looked at me directly. We've decided, going forward, it's best if you and Amber aren't in the same room. I blinked. Excuse me. She folded her hands in her lap. For the sake of peace, holidays, birthdays, family gatherings. We'll make a schedule, if she's coming. We'll let you know not to, and vice versa. I stared at her like she'd grown a second head. So, she tries to ruin my wedding. Lies about my uncle, fakes texts, screams at me at a funeral, and I'm the one who gets cut out. It's not punishment, Amber said sweetly. It's just boundaries. I laughed, a dry, disbelieving laugh. Boundaries for who? You or your ego? She tilted her head. You seem triggered. I stood up. My heart pounded, but my voice was clear. I'm not going to beg to be part of a family I married into. I'm not going to sit at home while the woman who stalked my wedding plays hostess at Thanksgiving. My husband stood too. If she's invited and my wife isn't, we're both out. My mill blinked fast. You don't mean that. Yes, I do, he said. Amber scoffed. You're throwing away family over her. He turned to her, calm and deadly. No, you threw it away a long time ago. She just happened to survive it. We walked out into the rain, not looking back. I didn't lose a family that day. I finally saw it for what it was. It should have ended with the family ban. But with Amber, nothing ever ends quietly. 2 weeks after the you can't be in the same room rule, a voice note was leaked, first to my husband, then quickly shared with half the family. Amber's voice, low and icy. If I couldn't marry him, I'll make sure the woman who did never enjoys it. It was time-stamped, just 3 days before our wedding. My stomach flipped. She hadn't just hated me, she had planned all of it. The dress stunt, the fake texts, the lies about my uncle. It was never emotional instability, it was intentional sabotage. That same night, B, the cousin who had quietly helped me before, sent me a file. This is everything, she wrote. Do what you want with it. Inside the folder were screen recordings, backups of chats, and a screenshot of an unsent email draft Amber had written, addressed to the family. Subject, why I fear for my safety around my name. Content, she's unstable, violent. She threatened me physically at the funeral. I'm scared she'll come after me again. She had planned to frame me, to fully flip the narrative. But her own arrogance exposed her. That weekend, my husband's uncle called a family intervention. Everyone was there except Amber and her mom. We laid out the voice notes, the screenshots, the letter I found in the attic, and finally, the draft email. There were no arguments this time. Just shame. No one said a word for a long time. Then my husband's uncle stood and said, Enough, she's not welcome at any family function going forward. Anyone who chooses to side with her chooses to stay home. And just like that, Amber was out. Permanently. Months later, we hosted our first holiday dinner, Thanksgiving at our place. My meal came, quieter than usual. But present, she brought pie. She helped with dishes. And before leaving, she hugged me. No Amber. No chaos. Just family. That night I wore white. Not because I had something to prove, but because she tried to steal it from me once. And now, with everything finally quiet, I wore it like armor. And this time, nobody dared ask who the woman of the house was. Please like, share with your family and friends, and subscribe to our channel for more stories.